More to do about fire. Chapter 4. More fire and blood rituals. The holy fire and blood cult. How and when to slaughter a bull, an ox, and a goat to pay for sins. A sin of guilt offering to cleanse one of sin, such as raping your neighbor's 11-year-old son, requires the splashing of blood onto the horns of the altar 7 times. Herders, flockers, blood ritual, fire rituals. 3 or 6 million simi-obedient slaves with 6 or 42 million cows, goats, and sheep, making bloody burnt offerings on an altar with horns. Verse 3, if it is the anointed priest who has incurred guilt, a bull. 4, the bull shall be slaughtered before the Lord. 6, the priest shall dip his finger in the blood and sprinkle the blood 7 times before the Lord in front of the curtain of the shrine. Holy slaughter, holy blood sprinkling on a holy shrine. Verse 8, he shall remove the fat. Verse 9, the 2 kidneys to be burnt. And a few other parts for the fire. There are some parts that are to be taken out of camp and put to the fire. Of course, this burning of animal parts that are not eaten helps reduce vermin and vultures. Not everything is ritual. Our ancestors were not only murdering maniacs. Verse 13. If the whole congregation of Israel, end quote, also a bull with same procedures. Verse 22. In case of a chieftain, end quote, the male goat. In case of any other person, a female goat. And these offerings will be the price for guilt. Define guilt. Verse 35. Over the Lord's offering by fire. Well, I don't think we're going to have to tell you too often that fire is very important for this wandering cult of madmen through the desert. They do have wives. Most of them have about 4 wives. We'll get to those details eventually, but women don't really exist. They just make babies and they clean out the tent and whatnot, but they're not important to monotheistic cults because it is a men's club. It is a fairly hateful men's club. It is a very narrow-minded men's club, but monotheistic religions are definitely men's clubs. And they are crazy. Completely crazy. I don't know if any of you are young enough to remember when you were allowed to go outside before television made it illegal to go outside, as if television has any authority, but people believe it. They watch TV and it says you could be abducted, so don't go outside. The whole Americans don't even let their kids walk to school anymore because they could get abducted. So they put them in cars where it's about 30 times more likely that they'll die on the way to school in a car accident. Fucking human beings are so malleable, you can just tell them anything and they will believe it. And this is living proof. This is so absurd, the men's club is so absurd, and billions believe it. And what's worse is television comes along, and it's Hollywood is just an extension of the Torah. It's teaching you paranoia, fear, obedience. Buy what you build and buy what you build. I mean, not anymore. You go and buy the things that they make in China. It's a horrible, horrible, horrible situation. I think people just need some shock therapy. And I don't mean like electrical shock. They have to turn off the television. Turn off the television. If you could kill your television. Kill your television. Ignore the fucking 24-hour news shows. They're so full of shit. They take one bad event, pump it out. It's crazy. I mean, it's a little bit different over here. The only news I usually see is in my online web mail. And for the last week and a half, it's been some woman who put plastic in her tits and she died. And that's big front page news. news.